All right, real talk. Welcome back. Let's have a chat. So after my Autumn 2 update video, which I've just done and sent out, I promised that the next video I will do would be a trip up to Manchester where I was going to go see my aunt. It's winter time and all that sort of stuff. Well, yeah, that didn't happen, and for a couple of reasons. Well, one main reason is that I got ill. So you know all that chat about what's going on with all these people getting ill with the flu at winter and all that sort of stuff. I've never been ill at winter. This was the first time. I thought I was going to die. I was in the hospital on Christmas Day, you know, getting treated for my flu. So that meant that the trip was off. The next thing is, in fine and beautiful British fashion, as soon as the snow melted, everything just went back to 10 degrees every day, 15 degrees every day, that kind of thing. So it would have been a pointless mission, you know, going up there and testing that in the winter. Also, the minute the temperature went above 0 degrees, well, my consumption went straight back to 30 miles per 10% of my battery. So yeah, that didn't really work out that way. Now, disclaimer, I am not someone who is preaching EV and trying to sell it to everybody else. I'm going to disclaim that straight away before I get roasted in the comments. But there's some things I just need to get off my chest because of a conversation I had with a neighbor yesterday. And I started thinking, how many people actually think like this? Okay, so a neighbor was talking to me about my EV and, you know, and what's the point of them and all that sort of stuff, and you queue up for a long time to get your car charged and you don't get the same amount of mileage as you do from a tank of petrol and all of that jazz. And I thought for a second, yeah, maybe I need to set this straight. So the first thing that I'm going to mention is simply this. Your EV is not a petrol car. So if you're thinking of using it in the same way as you do a petrol car, then you're in the wrong boat. End of. Okay? You have to reframe your mind about what you're doing with an EV if you're going to buy one. And who is it for? It's not for everybody. I just happen to have a charger at my house and I was planning to buy this car from 2 years ago. And I lived in a 3 Series until the car became available. I ordered it and then I waited 8 months to get it. You know, so now I have it. I am cush-de-boo, as they say. But your EV is not the same as a petrol car. You have to reframe your thinking. So here's a couple of ways you can think about it. If you are living in your own home, like I do, and you have off-street parking, like I do, and you can put a charger on the front of your house, like I did, then you can totally be fine with an EV. So for example, you're going to charge at home. It is cheapest to charge at home, by the way. So you're going to charge at home, which means that every time you set off on a journey, you're going to have a full battery. So there's no problem there. As it relates to going out on a journey and wondering about charging when you're going out on that journey, well, think about it this way, okay? I'm actually going to plot a journey for you and show you how my thinking works, okay? I have to go pick up the family in Peace Pottage in the next hour. And Peace Pottage is about 40 miles away from me. So you can see on my widget here for my BMW, you can see that I have 56% in the battery and it can take me 130 miles today in today's conditions. Now, forget the 130 miles. I got 56%. If I'm getting 30 miles off of every 10%, which I am getting reliably, then I can go 150 miles. But that comes down to the fact that I know my car. I know what it can do. I know how far it can go. So I'm going to go to, let's go WhatsApp. I'm going to use the WhatsApp app. And I'm going to plan a quick journey here. Choose destination. And I'm going to Peace Pottage Services. And why I like this app is if I was worried about charging, then I would want to go and check. Well, first of all, I would have charged my car if I was worried about charging. I plug it in at home. But let's just say I'm being caught out. So you can see here that I am going to be leaving Maidstone and then going through there. Now on the way, I've got an Ionity charger on the way, which is near where I live. There is a grid serve just there near Oxted, but where I'm actually going, there's a grid serve there as well. Okay, so what's my point? My point is plan your journey. If you're going to go somewhere, you have an EV, plan that journey. You need to work out exactly if your car can get there and back. Now, I know my car can get there and back, so I'm not even bothered about charging the car. And I don't need to charge when I get to the services. But if I am caught out, at least I know where the charges are. The next thing is, in your petrol car, would you normally stop at services to fill up? No, you won't, because you know that you pay above and beyond the regular price for petrol and diesel at motorway services. You'd be surprised to know that it's just about the same thing with electric car charging. At the services, it can go up to 69p at the minute, per kilowatt hour if you stop at services. So I try my best not to stop at services to charge. I charge at home if I have to, and then that's it. So that's the thing you have to be thinking. Now, let's say you do have to stop at the services to charge. Let's just say, for argument's sake, you have to stop because you're going on a journey and you're going to run out of power. Okay? You're going to sit there and charge all the way to 80%? No, that's not sensible, except you really do need to charge to 80%. But 9 times out of 10, I'm going up to Manchester, 250-mile drive. First of all, I never really need to charge, but I do a charge anyway. But when you do stop, all you need while you go for a wee and come back, and it takes you about 10 minutes or so, all you really need is to top up enough to get to the next charger, or top up enough to get beyond the next charger. Because if you go to that next charger and you have to wait and you might need to push on, you at least have enough power to get to the next one. And you'd be surprised to know, by the time you go for a wee and come back, you could have put 20-30% in your battery, which, well, certainly for me, that's about 90 to 100 miles, that I'd already put into my battery just going for a wee. So you really don't need to be, thinking about your battery the way you think of a petrol tank. When you go to the station, you have to fill it up before you move on. Batteries, when you're driving in an EV, it doesn't work like that. You just need enough power to either get to your destination or get to the next point where you're going to need to charge. Realistically, that's what you need. And what does that mean for the other road users? Well, it means that you've sat there for 10 minutes, you've got enough juice to move on, unplug your car and bounce, mate, because somebody else needs that charger, who will hopefully do the exact same thing and move on. So that's basically what you need. Now, let's talk about the other people who don't have off-street parking, who don't, own their own home or whatever the case might be, right? Let's say you're renting and you're in a block of flats. Now, I've mentioned in one of my other videos about the charging around Brent, in where my mother-in-law lives. But also, just this week, I've also been down to Hammersmith and Fulham. And I went in an area just about White City where I used to live back in the day when I was a bachelor. And all the light posts there have also got chargers. Now, I'm starting to wonder how many boroughs are actually doing this now. They're non-invasive, they're not big, obstructive machines on the pavement or anything like that. There are long-standing light poles with a light on it, and all they've done is gone into it, stick a charger into it, screw that in, and then you're on your way. So you don't really have that obstruction on the pavements, a lamppost, and then you just literally drive up to it, get your app out, and then you plug in and charge your car. Now, who are those useful for? Well, they're useful for people who don't have their off-street parking, who don't have, their own property that they're probably going, or they're living in a block of flats or something like that, where the access to a charger at your house is not available. It's perfect for people in that sort of situation, and then obviously if everybody exercise good etiquette, as in your car is finished charging, unplug it and shift it down the street a little bit so that somebody else who's visiting, can have a charge, or somebody else who lives on the street can be able to charge their car as well. Because obviously, sites like ZapMap, like WhatsApp and so on, they're going to show these chargers as being available. And the last thing you want is to roll up and somebody who is not charging their car is just blocking the charger. But anyway, that's beside the point. So we were having this chat, my neighbor and I, and it was just unreal how, people are to some extent going out of their way to talk down EVs and stuff like that. If you believe what you believe about EVs and it's something negative, that's okay. You might want to keep that to yourself, because people like myself who have an EV, there's a plethora of things that we are actually enjoying in our car that we will probably want to talk about. I think that a lot of people just need to really rethink what an EV means and stop trying to put an EV in the same box as a petrol car, because it does not belong there. They're very different types of vehicle. They operate in a different way, and they should be treated in a different way. Respect needs to be given to each for what they offer. If I want to drive 500 miles without stopping for a wee, because I'm a trooper like that, I will get a diesel car, because I know it'll take me all that way. But I will have to stop for a wee. I'm gonna have to stop to stretch my legs because my back is hurting. I'm gonna have to stop to eat at some point. And that usually happens after about 60 miles, because by then it's an hour and a half, you gotta stop. And then when I stop to do all that sort of stuff, rather than my car sat in the car park doing nothing, I plug it in, top up a little bit, if I need the top up, by the way, while I go for that wee and stretch my legs a little bit. And just like that, I come back to the car and there's 100 more miles added to my journey. Whoop, I'll take that, and then off we go. Okay, so in summary then, I get away with what I get away with because I've been driving my car for many months now. I know it really well. I know how it uses the power in the battery, regardless of if I've got the aircon on and all that sort of stuff. I know what I can get out of that battery. And because I know it, I respect it, and I know how far I can go. And I know how to push that battery to its limits without being risky, without being in a position where you're running out of power on the motorway and that sort of stuff. For my journey today, it's an 80-mile round trip. For what I have actually got in the battery, I can do 150 miles on that. So provided that nothing goes catastrophically wrong, I don't really need to charge it. I can make it to Peace Pottage and back, and I can plug my car in, charging it up, ready for next week when it's time to head out back to work.
Go.
Oh, right, so that out there is sideways rain. Look at the conditions on the road. That is lots of standing water. All right, guys, just got home. Did 104 miles to go pick the family up. Battery is down to 11%. The car is complaining now that there's only 25 miles of range left. But this is what I was talking about when I was saying that, just know like what's in your battery and how far you can really go. We were driving in pretty much sideways rain the whole way there and the whole way back. So the weather was really bad, and that's why the fuel consumption is what it is. That for that journey, 3.1 miles per kilowatt hour, and that's because of the rain. The rolling resistance is really bad on the road, lots of standing water. She's getting some charge now, so she's happy. No more complaining. Anyway, guys, that is rant over. I hope it didn't sound like a rant. But if you're enjoying your EV and you this sort of stuff meets eye to eye with you, let me know in the comments. And if you're a petrol head and you're thinking of coming over to EV, have the conversation. There might be some benefits to be had. You know, have that conversation with an EV owner, or even start a conversation with other people in the community in the comment section or on Facebook or whatever. Because the more you know, the better informed you'll be when it's time to make that decision. The government in this country is pushing people down the lines of by 2030, no new petrol and diesel will be sold in the UK. It's going to be EV only. If you know that that train is coming, or actually let's put it this way, let me use a different analogy. If you know that that wave is coming and you're out there in the open ocean, you've got two ways. You can take the wave head on, or you can take the wave sideways. It's up to you. Anyway, I'm done for now, guys. Peace.